Top-rated prospect, Dueling reports, and the machine stirring up a recruiting frenzy.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Now the number one sports podcast network in the world with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you. And on this episode, we're going Cruton. We're touching base on, obviously, a story that's gotten some attention since we were last together. Reports, Chris, dueling reports, dueling reporters related to the pursuit of one of Tech's top commitments in Jalen Brewster. And this will continue, of course, to come down to the wire, as we have alluded to. We'll get into some of what maybe took place yesterday with PR machines or otherwise at work. And I want to get into what's being revealed, I think, in some recent cycles and maybe even recent weeks and months, when it comes to some developing trends. And we'll get into this a little bit further before the week is done as far as some cash and monetary considerations. But when it does come to the thought of a flip or comes to the timing of an official visit and the impact that it has, things may be a changing. But Chris, back to the dueling reports to kick off the conversation. Initially, an indication of an imminent flip is what was sent out there from a University of Texas perspective. This could come from certainly many different levels or many different angles. But in general, Chris, a PR machine at work in one sort of way or another is kind of what I was wondering about this, as then you had some reporters also countering that initial report that Jalen Brewster and a flip would be imminent. So what to make of it, I can leave up to many of you out there, those who have been in this game for a while. Maybe you're hardened enough to know that, I don't know, maybe you don't make anything of it, but somebody's got to be wrong in this instance, don't they, Chris?
Yeah. I think some people are very interested in this story. Other people are like, it's like the Sorsby thing. It's like, okay, I'm tired. And so, but we're here to talk to the folks that are very interested in this. This is, if not the one of the very best players in the country in this next recruiting cycle. Okay. We all know who we're talking about. Jalen Brewster, 300-pound defensive tackle. He looks like a 30-year-old man right now. And he has been in the news quite a bit. And yet, as I said to you the other day when we talked about this, he hasn't really said anything. Okay? Like, he hasn't been quoted. These are all folks being sourced around him or on a campus somewhere, or his agent or his dad or whatever. Okay. And I think that's important to note, because it's not if your glass is half full or it's half empty. You just got to understand who's pouring the water, as we've said before. But yesterday you had a University of Texas site, and you had the On3 network, one of their lead recruiting analysts, Sam Spiegelman, who I've gotten to know and I think does a very good job. And these are, covering recruiting is difficult. It's a grind. Some people love it, but you got to be prepared. You're going to deal with a variety of different kind of folks. Every situation is different. Sometimes the kid likes to talk and will talk to you. Sometimes they don't want to say anything. Sometimes these people have folks around them that will do the talking for them, and then you got to know, it's like whenever you first start recruiting a player for your college, one of the first tasks is in a coach's role is to identify who the decision maker is in the group. Is it the mom? Is it the dad? Is it the player? Is it the agent now? Is it the AAU coach? Who's pushing the button, or who's got the most influence on what decision is ultimately going to be made? And sometimes it's a combination, and sometimes it's clearly you can identify one individual in that circle. I think right now this is a combination of Jalen, his dad, and the representation there in tandem. And I think if you talk to Jalen's dad, if you talk to his agent, because nobody's really talking to Jalen, or if you talk to the schools, like whatever they're saying to sources or whatever, you're going to get some different bits of info on what the hope is or where the hope lies or whatever. I guess where I'm at is I believe Sam's report, and he indicated that he was still locked in with Texas Tech. And it's not because that's what I want to believe. I just know Sam got a reputation of, he is not, I don't know of him being wrong. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, and he can only report off of who he's talking to and whatever. But right now, the indication is that he's locked in and he's good to go. And I think there's others that have in the industry that have said, there's some theories out there that there's some thought that this is a player that is going to kind of come out publicly in a short time and say, I'm shutting it down. I don't know what that looks like or if that will happen. There's just what some people think. Others think the agent really wants him at Texas Tech. And so other schools are like, which I would buy into that, and I can explain why, if you want to believe in that theory. And then there's others that feel like, oh man, they're going to say all this now, and then they're going to change, they're going to change their decision at the very end or something. So who knows? Buy into all the madness and the craziness or don't. That's up to you. But it's newsworthy because this is one of the best players in the country. And this is not a conversation that Texas Tech has been in before. But you had a Dueling report almost an hour after Sam's comes out from University of Texas site, which is weird in that they are expected to part ways. Texas Tech is not expected to fight to keep him. They're going to mutually agree to part ways, and off into the sunset he goes and whatever. I don't know what this has to do with the University of Texas, because I think it's pretty clear that LSU and maybe Florida are where it would go, and maybe something could change. But these were very opposite ends of the spectrum as far as like the way that the reporting was going. I know that enough people were able to very quickly identify that no, Texas Tech is not parting ways with this player. Where did this even come from? People in the industry, people that know some of the pertinent parties were able to identify within minutes. Yeah, don't know where that came from. There's zero truth to that. So people can believe what they want, but yeah, it's kind of hard to walk any of it back, depending on what side of this you were on. And we ultimately won't know until a week or so into December when you can put pen to paper.
Sure. And look, you can be wrong. It's not like you get your pass revoked or anything if you're wrong on something. But this was an interesting angle to see this type of thing come from. And that's where I began to think about the machine and just somebody looking to take a little wind out of your sails, possibly. We've talked about this before. Why are you generating any attention from, say, Austin or other locales where it'd be weird for you to even be on their radar? Well, because players that previously maybe were headed that direction have been headed your direction on occasion, and that is a fly in the ointment, clearly. So kind of wonder if that just traces back to that sort of thing, and kind of wonder if it will all be for naught outside of the Tuesday afternoon recruiting frenzy. But I did see some follow-up commentary in an additional On3 report from Jalen's father, Chris, talking about. First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, and the biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it's got the potential for a memorable moment, and that's what makes it so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. And now FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with Every Goal Pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you got to do is turn on your token. It's part of what you got to love about tournament soccer. You can turn on a match between teams you don't regularly follow, and suddenly one goal changes everything, and you're on the edge of your seat like a lifelong fan. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. Follow-up commentary in an additional On3 report from Jalen's father, Chris, talking about the culture and the family and the feel that he gets from Joey McGuire. I think part of that quote was that McGuire, he says, you can tell he cares about family and cares about the players. That's the main thing I'm looking for in a school for my son, end quote. Doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all, but it certainly does make you think about a contrasting picture with the gang in Baton Rouge. Just as an example, Lane and Ed and the boys, right?
and again, people can get caught up into what is most important to them. But obviously, when you talk about culture and relationships and all that, I mean, Joey goes back with the whole Cedar Hill connection, and there's still people in and around that area, that district, and that school that know what Coach McGuire was all about. Even though there's been several years that have obviously passed or passed since then, but yeah, like I don't think Joey's going anywhere, and I think while Lane Kiffin may say I'm not going anywhere either, actions would speak a bit louder than that. And then Ed Orgeron is a great cartoon character. I have no doubt that he's a good coach and all those things, but he's had some other issues in his past, and
It'd be fun to go to a crawfish broil with. I mean, I don't know if I want to send my son there with him though.
Yeah. So, but and we'll get into the finances of this because some of that is started to come out a bit as well.
Yeah, save me some time for that, man, because this is going to take. We're running out of time here. I want to spend more time on some of what was discussed this week related to this June just gone by. And I don't know. I guess the quote was the most expensive June yet. So what does that tell you? And guys like Jalen Brewster, Texas Tech, obviously right in the thick of all that. One thing that was a part of some of that reporting involving the cost of business this cycle, Chris, was sort of some leverage changing a little bit. And I just want to ask you before we wrap it up, you've spent a long time covering this stuff up close and personal, and you've gotten a feel for the importance of a visit schedule, the first visit, the last visit, a feel for trending towards flips or maybe away from flips being more common. I just wonder how you feel about any possible shakeup in this new kind of era, because part of what's sort of being put forth is that maybe some earlier visits have more of an impact, or there's some more leverage to be found there than used to be compared to that final visit. And also given the way that a market can change in a fairly short amount of time, that there could be, I don't know, some more commonplace kind of nature to a flip within whatever cycle or more flips. A lot of things have changed. What do you make of sort of the nature of that part of the process and those timelines now?
Well, and what you have to understand is in this sport, the world can look completely different in June, since that's what we're talking about, even though we're in July now. The world can look completely different in June than it can look in November, December, when you can put pen to paper. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, did you have a really good year? Did you have a really bad year? That goes for player and program. That maybe, is there more pressure to ink a really top class? Is this player, did he not have as good of a senior year? Is he injured? Or is there some off the field stuff that has now come to light? I don't know. Pick one. Is every coach that was involved in whatever recruitment we're talking about, are they still comfortably in position and employed? Or are they being rumored to be heading elsewhere, like Mr. Kiffin, who was almost going to Florida, then he was like going to stay at LSU, then he's at LSU and all those things. So that all that plays into it. Are you able to raise more money in the fall? Or are you having a hard time doing that because it's like, man, they told me we were supposed to be good this year and we ain't, like there's just all kinds of arrows pointing different directions and all kinds of dynamics that can come in. Because, you just think about how different our lives will be right now compared to what life will be like in December.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about what postseason game did you go to? Did they realize potential as a program? All that stuff, right? And nothing can really happen until early December when you can put pen to paper. And so you're going to get a lot more reporting. I think one of the tells will be like some of these players, like, do they take unofficials to games at some of these places?
If they do.
and where is that, or where isn't that?
Right.
That kind of thing. So
it's got to be the market and the money thing, though, that maybe makes for more or increases the possibility of some last minute kind of activity. And we always had that sort of thing, but it's not like before now, aside from the duffel bag in the shadows conversation, which certainly was going on. But Chris, it wasn't like the course of the fall or the season could impact the scholarship value, that you had already offered at whatever point earlier. And now in December, whatever, February, you were going to be signing them to. So I think there's just that money component. The market can change so quickly for the better, the worse, the whatever, that maybe allows for some of that last minute activity that's more frequent than in a previous era.
And I think, to your point, I think different things can affect that market, available dollars, right? People's moods, some things can be intangible, some things can be belief in someone or something, or not, lack of that. But and it's worth noting that it's fascinating to me. We've got this rev share number, and we keep seeing all this stuff about the CSC and how it's been very difficult to get some of these $20,000 deals passed and all that stuff. And then yet you're seeing these payrolls that are, like in LSU's case, is supposed to be close to $55 million. Which again, do your thing, man. But how? What avenues are you, so that part to me is fast, especially when, okay, we've got these deals we think done, we've budgeted, this fits into what we're doing, and then it's like, we got to up it, or we got to tear that up and come up with a new budget. I mean, that's why I think a lot of business people that are involved with this stuff are like, this isn't how businesses run.
No,
you don't just get to go, you know what? I don't like this budget. Let's tear up another one and increase it. Okay, where does this go? But this is
how a casino is run, Chris. That's what we're in.
Because you're dealing with emotion. You're dealing with sports. Yeah. It's different than anything else, right?
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be the season that's impacting you. You're like, well, I'm not going to let that booster best me here. I'm just mad at him, and I didn't like his Dockers last week at the country club, so I'm going to go ahead and pay more for this guy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, all kinds of things,
yes,
which is different than it used to be, aside from what was happening in the shadows. Now it's so visible. I'm sure there's still shadowy activity going on. We are still considering LSU to be a part of this conversation, so I have no doubt there's room for gray areas still as well. But, I think, and we'll get more into this, I do want to get back to some of those numbers and the price of poker, Chris, this cycle and what it tells us about the future. And I still am just rolling around the question in my head when it comes to limiting any of this. Is that actually what I want? We're talking a lot about salary caps and limits and so on and so forth, which actually to me sounds like an entirely new creation than what we've ever had with college sports. So is it saving college sports or creating a new college sports? We'll get to that and a whole lot more before the week is done. We're going to be diving into the Matador Mob mailbag, of course, as well. So if you're interested in getting in on that, start a free 14-day trial to the Matador Mob today by hitting the show notes. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. Chris, appreciate the time as always. Enjoyed the combo, and we'll see you for the next one.
Keep hope alive, man, and we'll be talking next time. But ABC, man, always be recruiting.
Cash. The theme will be cash once again. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thank you to the everydayers, all the timers, for always riding along. And if you are one of those all the timers or everydayers, you're what the Everydayer Club is built for. So get your everyday Locked On Texas Tech fix ad-free, plus members only network, Discord access, and more. Linked in the show notes. Right now, you can start that free trial today. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. If you're listening in via podcast, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Basketball. And we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.